I don't think it's any secret that XRP is for the banks. I showed an article recently that I showed a while ago as well, where they literally, from the horse's mouth itself, the company lets it be known that they wanted XRP to be Bitcoin for the banks. And not only have they said that, but multiple times they've said that XRP is an advanced Bitcoin, or it's an improvement over Bitcoin. It's the new Bitcoin. They've said it in a lot of different ways. This is easily looked up. Now, when these crypto companies begin and they have their initial coin offerings, whatever you call that, they allow everybody in because that floods them with money. Let's be real. That floods them with money that they use in a lot of different ways to help themselves build infrastructure and get off the ground. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but that's mostly what happens. They use that capital and they liquidate just like retail does, right? Retail doesn't have to get in, but because retail wants to make money and the FOMO kicks in, we see that even happen with meme coins. They get in and flood these cryptos with money. So at that time, retail is a necessary thing to deal with. This is logic, right? But when you get to a certain level as a company, sometimes individuals do this as well. It's just using. You use people. They use people to get to where they want to be. And once they're done with you, then you're cast aside. I think that just some Bankcoin companies have done well to pay retail who has lingered on, right? They've remained because they can't be directly put out, but they can be fudded out. They can be assaulted with psychological warfare, which is what a lot of this FUD is. How much of that FUD is paid, right? I mean, I can speculate. Maybe not. Maybe people just naturally, just for no reason at all, want to go against the people that, invest their money in some of these bank coins like XRP just for fun. That is possible. I doubt it, but that's possible, right? But some people linger on because they understand what the project was made for. Now, the very essence of what XRP is why people are bullish on it. It was never for retail. Now, once again, if I didn't say this in the beginning, they put out multitude of statements where they wanted XRP to be Bitcoin for banks. They wanted it to they considered it to be an improvement on or over Bitcoin. I think even David Schwartz has talked about that. They made it known clearly that this is an interbank payment protocol, on-demand liquidity and such like that. Who's that for? Banks. Who do they always announce their work has been done for? Banks. There's no secret. No one decided in secret that it's for the banks. This has been in the open for quite some time. They didn't decide in secret. They came right out and told the people this is for the banks, which is another reason why a lot of people went against XRP. They were like, well, this is a centralized thing. It's for the banks, and all of that controversy for years and years and years. The XRP community had to deal with. There is no secret. And so they've continued on even up to this year, letting people know, hey, we're going to go after the commercial banks. It's for the banks. Retail just happens to be there. It was a necessary thing at the time, which now there is no direct way you're going to get everyone out. You're not. But what has been happening is that over time, the more they stall things out, the more they FUD people out, the more people allow them to get into their heads with the negativity, the more people leave, which leaves what? More XRP for companies building on the XRPL to use for its main mission, which is to move capital for banks and large financial institutions. That's also where you get a lot of these huge price predictions from, because the people remember that. They remember what XRP is really supposed to do. You see, a lot of people now are focusing on retail. Oh, retail, these small price movements, trying to convince other people to get into the bank coins, even though that doesn't move the price. No, a lot of people have lost the plot that these were always meant to move mainly interbank payments, wholesale payments. That's big money. Loosen up Nostro. That's big money. Cross-border payments, but for who? You got to specify, because we're not talking about retail cross-border payments. We're talking about interbank, wholesale, cross-border bank-to-bank payments. Big money. And then you had Stellar for retail. They made that very clear. Stellar, we want to bank the unbanked, the underbanked. Both of these companies, Ripple and Stellar, made it very, very clear. There's no secret. Now, logic, I don't think it gets more logical than that. I gave you some examples. Things can be looked up easily, right? Reasoning, logic. This is the definition of logic by Oxford Languages. Reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity. Now, is it reasonable to go by what the company says itself? What are Ripple payments for? Is that for retail? No. Volante, what are they working for? Are they working mostly toward retail, or are they working mostly with large financial institutions? Most of the companies building on the XRPL are working with large financial institutions. Now, some of them are beginning to branch out. They have the retail CBDC aspect of the CBDC platform they built with the Monetary Authority of Singapore. That's now. They're just beginning that now. We have to see where that goes. And I think that they're only doing that because they saw a hole in the market that others are not filling. But I think that's sound reasoning to go by what the company has said itself and what the company is doing itself. They can't just force retail out directly. That will lead to regulatory problems. So they have to do it in a subtle way. This is no secret. Companies have been doing this for a long time. If they don't want a certain crowd, they just gear it. They make sure that they don't promote it to a certain crowd. How much is XRP promoted to retail by the actual companies, not influencers, not researchers, not news reporters? How much is XRP promoted to regular people from the companies? Because I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Even their advertisements are in big business heavy areas. It says, so logic, reasoning, this is from Oxford Languages, reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity. What gets more valid than what the company is doing and saying itself? This summer, all the articles of Monica Long speaking, James Wallace speaking, are about large banks that they're dealing with, or large B2B corridors they're building out, or large businesses who want to conduct large B2B transactions over the XRPL. All of that. That's what they do. There's no secret involved. This is sound logic. XRP was never meant for retail, but it did use retail, and now some retail remains. Very fortunate retail if XRP does what it was made to do. Which, once again, why is everyone so bullish mainly off of XRP? Because it can move those huge payments for banks, life-changing new 1% type stuff. It doesn't get more logical or valid than that. And on the channel, I don't always have time to lay out all of my thoughts in one video. It would be quite long. But people who have been day ones have heard this over hundreds and hundreds of videos, pieces and pieces and pieces of thoughts that we've built and learned together, things we've uncovered together. This is quite logical. Now, let me get off of that. I wanted to address that. Right? So I hope that, I don't know if that brings more clarity or not, but I think that's sound logic. So now let's get on to this here. This is from the dailyhodl.com, because we have bigger things to be concerned with, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. It doesn't matter if people don't accept reality. Reality will persist. It will continue on nevertheless. And there are huge problems. This isn't 1998. This isn't 2000 and whatever. This isn't that then. Today, there are catalysts and there are things actuating that are actually happening where we're bearing witness to the literal crumbling of systems like we've never seen before. Where they had strength before, or they could fabricate strength and liquidity before, they cannot do that now. The West did not have the enemies that it has now, which itself has sold so many companies to other opposing countries and land to other countries, and so much money behind the scenes has flowed into the hands of the controllers of the West that even they betray their own lands, their own people. Right? That didn't exist the way things exist now. We can't keep looking into the past and say, well, this didn't happen then and then, so it's not going to happen now. Well, I mean, you could believe that, sure. But then is not now. There is always a time for a precedent to be set if a precedent indeed is needed for someone to believe something. But if you're going to tell me that, so the financial situation as far as infrastructures, we've never been here before where you have all these banks ready to collapse, where you have all of these banks already went down. We have the banks outright disrespecting their customers, taking their money, closing their accounts, getting hacked, not telling the people that they got hacked, going to war with each other. We haven't had that before, not that I've seen. And I definitely do my research. I've been a bright individual for a long time. I'll say that. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I've been doing this for a long time. All right. So when I'm speaking, I'm trying to give you as much truth as I possibly can that can be researched. I'm going to give this to you here. Look, this is from the dailyhodl.com, and it's titled Chainlink creator Sergey Nazarov says that a financial cataclysm could trigger a rush into digital assets and blockchain ecosystems. Isn't this what I've been saying for a while now? So we had someone else the other day talking about a possible collapse. We've had multiple economists we've covered this year talking about the possible collapse of the financial systems. When have you ever seen the debt this high? They have no debt limit, by the way, in correlation with other countries trying to take down your native currency. We never had a situation like that before. When has there ever been a time where Saudi Arabia, who heavily influences the power of the petrodollar, when has there been a time before where Saudi Arabia has said, hey, we'll take other currencies? And now they're leaning heavily towards probably not dealing majorly in the dollar in future times, as their links with the BRICS nations is heavy. When has that ever occurred? We're looking at first time things occurring here. Credit bubble, a credit crisis coming, lending tightening so much, multitude of businesses going bankrupt. I think the West has more problems to worry about than crypto. You want to be real? There's more things to be concerned with. Oh, the covering of the eyes of the people to reality that they're living through. Harder and harder for these people to get jobs. We've never gone through a time period like this. You want to talk about recession? This is definitely a depression. I'm hearing from the people on the ground it's harder and harder for them to get into jobs because there's these battles, these little wars happening between all of these entities, the small banks versus the big banks, the workers versus the employers. The workers didn't want to go back to the employers. So then the employers are pissed off. So now they're going to make it very difficult for you to job hop. They're going to make it very difficult for you to quiet quit now and job hop. They're going to pay you less. You hop to another job, they're paying you less. So now wage growth not only slow, but now they're paying people less. When have we lived through things like that? All of this at the same time. I didn't even go through the half of the problems. So yeah, then tsunami of bankruptcies occurring that's going to only grow into 2024. Now, this is from some of the top economists. I know a lot of people there, they're just coming home from work and such. They're going to get on here and say, no, that can't be the way. It's like, what more can we do as reporters than research and then tell you, hey, this is what some of the most brilliant people in the world are saying. And it's just mind blowing sometimes that people will go against what some of the most brilliant people are saying. Just because it makes them comfortable, it doesn't change reality. So tsunami of bankruptcies occurring. Monetary policy that makes absolutely no sense. Oh, by the way, not just a lot of bankruptcies, but lending tightening. So tightening of lending obviously means it's going to be much harder for people to open businesses and get businesses started. So Sergey Nazarov says that a financial cataclysm could trigger a rush into digital assets. I said the same thing. They're keeping crypto at a certain place where it gives the legacy system entities enough time to dominate crypto and take it over. So they have a place to retreat. The legacy system, one thing I can say, because people can call them a lot of names and it probably would be accurate. But one thing they're not is dumb. They look at the reality of what's going on. They accept it and they start preparing. Something that I wish retail would do, but most of retail just doesn't do that. So what do? They not only are trying to invest in the crypto, they're buying the technologies en masse. You see BlackRock taking over Bitcoin. Look up those articles. They're buying all the miners, not all the miners, but like when I say all, that means just a great deal of miners and mining companies, just buying them up. They will control. So why are they trying to take over crypto? Because crypto can skyrocket faster than anything else. It can make a great deal of capital. They want to control it, not everyone else. It's not just XRP that they don't want retail. It's not about just having retail in. They don't want retail in control of any of those things. It doesn't matter. BIS told people that these decentralized things are not really decentralized. And the people didn't listen. But anyway, they want something to be able to retreat to where they can make capital and they can control everything. The writing is on the wall. If you could just see it, it's already happening. It says in a new interview with Ash Bennington on Real Vision, Nazarov outlines what he calls a, quote, global correction back to reality, unquote. Why are so many very brilliant minds saying this? Why? Says, unquote, where blockchain technology is integrated with the financial system. Sound familiar? And other industries to bring about a more trustworthy, they're going to track everything. Another reason they want to take over blockchain, verifiable economy. They're going to track everything. That traceability is going to come in handy. Before such a world develops, Nazarov says that an economic crisis in some form could be the precursor. So you see, listen, it's not like nobody has a crystal ball, but we're looking at what actually is going on. Things, it just is what it is. And you can see the frustration in the people when you're out and about. I don't know where everybody lives, but I definitely can see it. The people are overworked. They're overstressed. More than I've ever seen. They know they're feeling the pain. Constant articles and videos about how they can't afford food the same way. Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, inflation is down. Well, food is very important, isn't it? The people are feeling the pressure. You think that's going to change anytime soon? Oh, the Fed is going to cut rates. We'll see how much of a difference that makes. We'll see. It says, quote, I think we are moving towards some class of economic crisis in various economies because of really, really weird, but perhaps necessary, I can't tell, economic decisions. You see that? Why are they really, really weird economic decisions? By who? The politicians, the people that are in charge? Really, really weird. Look how he has to phrase it. Even he's looking at with a side eye, but he has to be careful. When you play this game, listen, if you stir up that hornet's nest, get ready to get stung. So he has to watch what he says because he also wants to do business with these individuals. So he wants to speak on it, but not put it out there so much where it's direct or puts a panic into the people. But he's trying to tell the people what's coming, what might be coming is a high percentage possibility, not a guarantee, not 100%. Some people take it like that. I don't know why, but a high percentage of possibility, right? Which then will skyrocket the cryptos that are respected, which are like what? Bitcoin is in there. Ethereum is in there, whether people like it or not. XRP is in there. And then behind them, the bank coins will flow right behind them, in my humble opinion. And the utility coins like Solana, Chainlink, Polygon, etc. It says, and I think there will be a reckoning for all that value. He's telling the people, and people are not going to hear, and all of that. And I do believe that blockchain technology will be gradually adopted for its massive benefits. And it'll do It'll do well in a market where everyone wants to interact with more assets. But I also believe that if he goes into it again, he wants to run this home, this idea home. Keep in mind, this is a company, Chainlink, that is working with Swift. So if they're speaking, it's not out the side of their neck. It's not off the top of their head. It's from multiple meetings with advisors who keep them privy to what's going on in the world. So they know which way to move. They know what to do. They know where the opportunities are. So I take this kind of thing serious. It says, and it'll do well, okay, in a market where everyone wants to interact with more assets. But I also believe that if there is an economic crisis, blockchains will be the solution to creating a more transparent, more reliable world that doesn't depend on brands. What it depends on is cryptographic proof, such that ownership is not guaranteed through a password, through a database, but through an application that controls your private key on your phone. So there you have it. That's not the only thing. Listen, check out that video I posted yesterday in the members only section. I got another one that's even better than that one, even though that one was really good in my humble opinion. This next one is really potent. Things are kicking up. Things are getting started. Now, let's move on here. This article is from the cryptobasic.com. This might be a longer video. People should know now to use the chapters. I covered a lot of different stuff in these videos. XRP is just the headline. We do cover a little bit of that, but we cover a lot of different things here. So this might be a longer one because we have a lot of information, a lot of stuff going on. Cryptobasic.com, and it's titled Ripple On-Demand Liquidity Partner FOMO receives a money service operator license in Hong Kong. More big news. FOMO, one of Ripple's business partners headquartered in Singapore, has received a pivotal payment authorization from a Hong Kong finance regulator. In particular, FOMO recently obtained a money service operator license from the Hong Kong Customs and Excise Department. The payment firm disclosed attaining the milestone in a recent statement on its official blog. Per the notification, the newly acquired license positions the Ripple partner to launch payment and remittance services in Hong Kong. FOMO noted it paves the way for streamlined global collection and payout processes for businesses. So even here, they're not talking about retail. Here, every time, they're businesses, banks, governments. Moreover, the firm underscores, it's not a secret. It's not a secret, man. There was no secret meeting. This has been made known from the beginning. XRP for the banks and big businesses, the big money pretty much. Stellar for retail. Although once again, they did recently make a retail aspect of the Ripple CBDC platform. So we will wait and see if they actually go heavily after retail or how that's going to be used. Moreover, the firm underscored that the move marks a crucial step in its regional expansion efforts. You know how many people have told me they sold all their XRP and left over the years? So the FUD works. So when I'm speaking about them getting people out of XRP, they definitely have been doing that. Multiples and multiples of FUD articles, multiples and multiples of FUD commenters. It's like, and they get to the people and they get them out of XRP. What's the motivation behind that? Right? It's like the bank coins are one of the few things where it's like they don't rise off of retail getting involved, not heavily. When you're talking about whales, I don't know how people consider whales retail. Be quite honest, the kind of capital that whales are moving, they're like a small company or medium-sized company, right? When I think retail, I'm thinking about regular individuals, and yeah, they get them out of there. But they don't move the price of XRP up or down. right? And a lot of, I think, the price actions that you see are price action by proxy. How many proxies do you think are out there that play in crypto so that a well-known entity doesn't have to? Everything is done by proxy these days. Like I said in yesterday's video, which if you didn't see that one, make sure you give that a watch or a listen to on YouTube Music, because we're available on YouTube Music now as a podcast. You can download us and listen to the audio. But like I said in that video, even fighting across the world, boom, boom, bang, bang, is done by proxy. You see what's going on over in that other place right now. Most of what they're battling with, you have the West battling through their proxy, and you have the East or BRICS nation battling through their proxy. And I'm not even talking about the main battle that's been making the news. I'm not talking about that. But those who know. So now, this is moreover, the firm underscored that the move marks a crucial step in its regional expansion efforts. Alan Vincent, a senior manager at FOMO Pay, expressed enthusiasm about the company's expansion into Hong Kong. Vincent remarked, quote, "The effort in obtaining the MSO license demonstrates our commitment to continuously adding value to our clients. As we look ahead, our goals remain unchanged, which is to establish a fully integrated financial ecosystem." So you just had the Chainlink guy saying some sort of catastrophe financially may take place and would lead to full financial integration of course, he's talking about the top utility coins, right? Which are the bank coins and a few significant utility coins, full integration into the financial system to save it, which is what I've been saying. Now you hear this person here from FOMO Pay talking about we wish to establish a fully integrated financial system. How many times they got to say this? Are people putting the puzzles together? I don't know. But, you guys got to understand, I see a lot of comments every day. So a lot of people they don't have the understanding you have. I know you. So, but I see all of this. When everybody clicks off the video, I see all of these different comments. Anyway, and that's why I address some things from time to time. Emphatically, the Ripple partner is a regulated major payment institution under Singapore's payment services. As a result, it holds a spectrum of licenses issued by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the country's apex bank. All right, let's move on to another article here. So more big news. Listen, man, it's so crazy to me that for the years I've been saying the trillions are coming. Go look back at some of my earlier videos, which was obviously that thought was derived from research, right? Which at that time, man, listen, there was so much that first bull market, so much money was being made. So many millionaires were being made at that time. It was an unbelievable time. But I was talking about the trillions, right? Even at that time, with all that money being made, people making hundreds of thousands of dollars, making millions and such from crypto. Even at that time, the trillions were not there. That's why we had to keep covering it. And now everybody's talking about the trillions now. Everybody's talking. I used to hear people, they used to say, "Oh, Mick, you're always talking about the trillions." I'm like, well, that's what the research is leading to. Now, all these top people want to talk about the trillions. So it's like, I don't know, man. When you say it, it's like a lot of people won't believe you. And it's like the people that don't believe you will make it, their voices are very loud, But then when these people say it, these economists and top CEOs and CLOs say it, then the people are like, "Oh, yes, trillions." It's like, I've been saying that for the longest time. This is from Bloomberg, right? DailyHodl.com. Bloomberg analyst says crypto space headed towards $10 trillion valuation as financial landscape shifts. We just read another individual yesterday, I believe, in that video, calling for $6 trillion. Sound a lot like Alphaneem. Haven't I been saying that, folks? It's coming. I don't know when. It's a difficult cross to bear to be a research reporter, right? Because people will come to us as though we have some control over the timeline. It's like, no, I'm doing my research and just estimating like everyone else. I don't know when this is going to happen. I don't know when they're going to flip the switch. I don't know. I'm hoping it's soon, just like everyone else, right? But the trillions are there. They're obviously taking over crypto. We have to all make up our own minds about what we want to do, where we want to go, and when, if ever, this is going to happen. But let's read this little tidbit here. Bloomberg intelligence analyst Jamie Coots thinks the overall crypto market could jump by 6 to 7x this cycle. Coots says certain trading strategies will explode as the total market cap of $1.483 trillion at time of writing balloons. And you know, and I know, they always undersell everything. Quote, as the crypto asset class heads toward $8 to $10 trillion this cycle. Bloomberg analyst. So they're not joking around. They don't kid around. They're very serious. I expect to see proliferation of systemic and factor-based strategies. Watch for funds with proven out of sample returns and 2 cycles under their belt to go from sub 25 million to 500 million to 1 billion assets under management. Let's scroll down. Coots also bats down the idea that crypto's recent bullish price action is entirely due to hype surrounding the potential approval of a U.S. spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund. I've been saying the same thing, but let's continue. Quote, those that believe the recent price action is down to the ETF news are delusional. By Q1, Bitcoin was sending the clearest signal that the very nature of asset allocation was changing. It's just that most weren't paying attention, unquote. Earlier this month, Coots also pointed out that the number of Bitcoin addresses still holding BTC after making 2 purchases has reached a new all-time high. Oh yeah, let's not forget that they've started another heavy FUD cycle on Bitcoin. I hold no Bitcoin, and I'm going to tell you, I'm super bullish on Bitcoin. Like everything for its setup says that at some point next year or two is going to go kaboom. So Bitcoin holders are going to make some good money. That's why they keep on playing with them. You know, it's just a lot of Bitcoin holders have strong minds. They've been through a lot of tough times. So they're going to hold, you know, and I think that, not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but I think that is going to do very well for them. And it will pull up the rest of the market. It says, quote, despite a 100% rally in 2023, so far, it's been firm hands. Told you. Bitcoin addresses that bought twice and not sold hits a new all-time high of 844,000. Let's move on to another article here. Now, I continue to try to tell people about the banking system. You know, some people agree because they've done their own research and come to that conclusion as well. But there's a lot of people who just don't believe the system is going down. They don't. To each his own. But this article here, give me one moment, everyone. I have to switch the website because that website, for some reason, is having some problems. This article is titled, Americans Are Getting Ripped Off by Big Banks. This is coming from Robinhood CEO. You don't say. I told everybody long ago. I was saying this. Those savings accounts are robbery, highway robbery, while the bank makes all this capital, extra capital off of your money that you lend to them. Your money sits in those savings accounts and dies, right? And that's just one way that they're ripping people off, in my humble opinion. But it says Robinhood is trying hard to lure customers fed up. I don't think they have to try very hard to lure customers fed up with the traditional banks that pay little to no interest on savings. Listen, there's record amount of deposit flight from banks right now. Record amount. So a lot of people are seeing the problem of keeping capital in the banks. And it's not just them paying little to no interest on savings. That's terrible. I always want my capital to be making capital. Maybe that's just me, but it's because the banks are just horrible. They treat you terribly. They're not safe at all, right? There's a lot of different reasons. Not in the fact that they don't make it clear when they're about to go down. A lot of people caught off guard when they collapse. But it says to attract deposits. The stock trading app made famous by the GameStop craze. That's why they're They're saying Robinhood got famous. I knew about Robinhood long before GameStop, which wasn't a good look for them. Didn't they pause trading for GameStop or something? A couple of exchanges did that. They wouldn't let the people. I mean, I don't remember the reason for that, but I just remember something like that occurred, I believe. It says GameStop craze is offering fatter and fatter interest rates. Robinhood will now pay subscription customers a 5% annual percentage yield on uninvested cash. Well, they see the opening just like a lot of the bank coin companies see the opening where the legacy system is failing. The legacy financial system is not it's what's traditionally accepted, but it's not the best anymore. And a lot of people are starting to wake up to that. It says, quote, it's sort of like banks have assumed that customers are not savvy or intelligent enough to realize that rates are changing and they could be generating a higher risk-free rate of return on their funds backed by the U.S. government, unquote, Robinhood CEO said. All right, we're going to move on to another article here. Now, listen, another thing to keep our eye on when it comes to the collapsing of systems. Have you seen how many hacks have been going on? I made a video. I don't know if I put it out or if I included it in the last video or two, where I was showing all the different hacks that were happening in insurance companies and banks, governments, right? It's as if, and they've been blaming this on certain groups associated with certain countries. I'll say it that way. Why? And then on top of that, keep in mind when the World Economic Forum was saying what they were talking about I think they phrased it as a cyber polygon, a cyber, that was spread and possibly spread through all systems shutting out. I'm not sure if it was specific to the financial systems. You can look it up. Look up WEF, cyber polygon, another phrasing, if you will. That it could shut everything down and destroy the systems. Why is that even on their mind? You think that's just preparatory? A lot of times they tell people what they're going to do before they do it. There's a reason for that. But look at this, all of this tension here. And I said this. So this article here is from Reuters.com and it's titled, Biden calls Xi dictator after carefully planned summit. Listen, I don't know what's going on. It just seems that these places, these major forces are they're on a pathway to a collision. Why do I say that? It's not just this. It just seems like there's no way that these so-called powers can bring peace. Now, that other power has not changed their stance on Taiwan. That's one issue, right? So there's always going to be tension there. And that's why I thought that these meetings wouldn't bear great fruit. I think the only thing I heard to come out of this was just a deal on what was it called? Being green, the green initiative. There's a new deal on that or something like that. That's all I heard. I have to read a little bit deeper. But because of the Taiwan situation, nope, I don't see China backing off of that. And I don't think that they did. So there's always going to be tension and a possible problem because of that. That's number one. Number two, there's a problem with the ships in the Philippines where one country is, doing certain things. And then this other country is like, hey, you can't do that. They're under our protection. That's two. Then on top of that, you had the semiconductor battle that's going on there with the United States saying, hey, we're going to cut you off from this. But then China says we're going to cut you off and restrict. Well, I won't say cut off completely, but they're going to restrict certain key minerals and such from, moving around like they should. Now, one thing I'll tell you, and I said this before, keep in mind that in Africa, China controls a lot of those companies that mine lithium. Lithium is a huge part of the lithium ion batteries that power all of these vehicles that they want to take precedent in the West. So then how does that continue on if things escalate and that material at some point, let's just say, I'm not sure if that's one of the things they're going to be limiting, but if they choose to limit that. Now, I would go out on a limb and say I think that's why certain companies had a lot of meetings over there, which a lot of people took umbrage to. Why is that company meeting over there? Because they knew that this tension was building and that they didn't want to be restricted and punished because of the West, that they could continue to get these materials for lithium ion batteries. But that stays on my mind. They have it's a lot more that they mine as well from China. So, I mean, for this to occur and for this individual to call that other individual that. Now, look how they phrase this, just so you don't think I'm the only one that thinks this is not going to go over well. It's not going to go over well. It's just not. It says, after this individual said that about that other leader being a dictator, it says a comment likely to land with a thud in Beijing after the two leaders held straightforward summit talks. Now, I said something earlier. I don't know if there's a video I recorded. I may not put that one out. Probably just put this one out. But I was talking about how much land and how many businesses China has a hand in the United States. And let me tell you something. This president here received a standing ovation over there. You know, hey, I'm tell you what, the future is going to be very interesting. I do hope things get better, but that doesn't mean I'm going to turn a blind eye to what's actually happening right now. My hopes do not override reality, right? So now let's move on here. So here we have a little bit of Algorand news. This is from CryptoPotato.com, but the article is titled "Quanto's Payments Secures License to Issue Euro or EURD." I'm assuming that's a Euro stablecoin of some sort on Algorand blockchain. I will always be super bullish on Algorand and continue to do a great job. It says Quanto's Payments, a subsidiary of the Dutch blockchain firm Quanto's, has secured a license as an electronic money institution under the oversight of the Dutch Central Bank. The authorization empowers Quanto's Payments to issue its inaugural regulated and programmable Euro legal tender EURD on the Algorand network. So there you have it. So it is a stable coin of some sort. All right. So that's very good. I'm glad to hear some stuff happening on Algorand. Now let's get to a little bit of Chainlink news here. I get more and more bullish on Chainlink as these individuals from and representing Chainlink continue to talk, and they have very, very ambitious ideas for Chainlink. This from dailyhodl.com, and it says link to be universal gas token. Sergey Nazarov explains potential for rapid Chainlink adoption. Very, very ambitious. Chainlink creator Sergey Nazarov says Link could be the future universal gas token for the digital asset ecosystem. Could be. And if that happens, kaboom, I'll take those gains. Thank you. In an interview, Nazarov explores the payment abstraction layer, PAL, of Chainlink's tech stack, which aims to minimize the complexity of paying for its services while allowing Oracle networks to get paid in Link. According to Nazarov, the abstraction layer will make it easy for developers to make payments in whatever medium of exchange they want, while converting the payments into Link, bringing more utility to the Link token. Quote, payment abstraction is the way that Chainlink network is going to simplify the ability of developers to pay the forms of value that they have the most access to. Also, I'll pair with this. Remember when one of these individuals from Chainlink said, oh, they'll pay it. This is before Chainlink exploded recently. And they were saying, hey, people will pay attention to us when Chainlink runs everything. They continue this talk like they want to run everything. If that happens, Chainlink goes boom. Simple as that. It's as simple as that. I love how fired up they are about this product. That's you have to have that in a company. You have to have intelligence, and you have to have that fire in your belly to push things where nobody else is going to push it, and believe when no one else believes. And you continue to build, and they have done that. They've earned the right to be super bullish. It says, so the forms of value related to their token. They'll eventually be able to pay in their own token. The ability to pay in the native token of the chain that they're on, which they may have the ability to pay in stable coins, and eventually also the ability to pay in credit cards or whatever category of payment they're comfortable with. And this results in basically making Link the universal gas token, because you can accept any payment into the system, and then that can be turned into Link, then sent over to the node operators that they then keep and stake and use for various security purposes. I always emphasize stake because I love that, holding something, you get paid, right? So that is extremely bullish in my humble opinion. Let's move on here. A little bit of Solana news. This is also from the cryptopotato.com. They've been doing a great job over there. I like it. Solana price explodes towards $70. And I'm loving every second of these gains. You do know that, right? Yes, I am. Oh, man. It says here, Solana's price surge. Solana's native token sold experienced a significant price increase with a 10% rise in 24 hours and a 170% jump. Monthly market sentiment and institutional interest, the bullish trend in the cryptocurrency sector, including gains in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others, along with growing institutional interest and Coinbase's decision to list Sol perpetual futures, might have contributed to Sol's impressive rally. Cathie Wood's endorsement. Not that we need Cathie Wood's endorsement. I like Cathie Wood. Don't agree on everything with Cathie Wood, but Cathie Wood has some very, very interesting thoughts, I will say. Cathie Wood, CEO of ARK Invest, praised Solana for its performance, highlighting its speed and cost effectiveness compared to Ethereum, further boosting its market perception. All right, so now let's move on here. So I'm going to skip over the BlackRock article and let's go here to a little bit of Cardano, because we haven't covered Cardano in a while. I've just been skipping articles. I've had some here. This is from NASDAQ.com and it's titled ADA to the Moon. Let's scroll down here. It says ADA to the moon. Analyst foresees a whopping 10,000% surge for Cardano, reaching $35 levels. All right, they're going to have to explain why. I need a solid catalyst, a solid partner. Are there partnerships? What makes you believe this? Like Chainlink, I knew that was going to be solid because it had a lot of solid things going on, a lot of solid partnerships, Swift, etc. Solana, same thing, solid partnerships that they were saying we're going to actuate right now, or they're going to try. Solid, right? A lot of solid innovations over there. You're going to have to explain why ADA would do this. It says crypto analyst Fiery Trading has an exceptionally bullish forecast for the price of Cardano ADA, suggesting a 9,990% surge to $35. What happened? Fiery Trading bases the projection on the assertion that ADA has surpassed its lowest value and is now steadily climbing, noting a recent positive trend in its market performance. All right, I'm not hearing anything too solid in my humble opinion. And that's considering I am bullish on Cardano. I am bullish on ADA, but they have to have something solid. Don't get me wrong. If we would just enter a wanton bull run, a lot of things will just rise just off of speculation. But to have something that high, that much of an explosion, I think you're going to need a more solid catalyst. It says the prognostication by Fiery Trading hints that ADA, currently hovering at around 38 cents, could witness a meteoric rise if the market continues to follow the upward trajectory as predicted. Okay, yeah, so like I said, it will go up, but to 35? I don't know about that. We'll see. I'll take it if it goes there. Sure, I'll jump in and get some and I feast on that. The analyst delineates a, quote, parallel channel, unquote, pattern formed by connecting the peaks of two bull markets and mirroring that line at the lowest point during the, quote, oh, no, we're not going to say that word on YouTube. Nope, it'll cause trouble. So redacted. The confirmation of this pattern, according to Fiery Trading, is decidedly bullish for Cardano's native token. Why it matters: if Cardano's ADA were to reach the proposed value of $35 per coin, given its circulating supply of 45 billion. Wow. I probably knew that at one time. I don't retain all of this different information about all these different coins, but heck, just seeing that, whoo, that's a lot of coins. For something that's not specifically a bank coin, that's a lot. That's a lot of coins. 45 billion ADA. The total market capitalization and surged to an astounding 1.575 trillion. All right, so now let's move on here. Now, I want to cover this one. I'm trying to get through all these articles today. That's why the video is a little bit longer, because I think they're all significant, and I usually skip a bunch of articles. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm skipping a few, but not a bunch. This is eye-opening, and I hope that this does not come to fruition. This is from UnchainedCrypto.com, and it's titled, U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chair Gary Gensler has said in the past that he's hesitant to approve spot Bitcoin exchange-traded fund because of potential market manipulation. Is that so? Noted investor Cathie Wood suggested the real reason could be that Gensler has his eye on heading the U.S. Sorry, I got air on my chest. Has his eye on heading the U.S. Treasury. No. Man, that going by Gary Gensler's, and I mean no disrespect, even though Gary Gensler is an enemy. We can take down an enemy without disrespecting the enemy, just about defeating the enemy. But no disrespect to Gary Gensler, but his judgment is so in question. His mind seems a bit frayed when I'm listening to him and his ideas. There's so much, what do you call that? He says one thing 1 minute and then goes against it later. And it doesn't seem like it's because of learning and advancing oneself and then changing one's mind because of new information. It doesn't seem like that. There's something else. And I think possibly corruption. I think this would be so bad. So bad. And then that wielding of authority. Oh, my word. Over U.S. treasuries. I think that would be very, very bad. That's not something I was thinking about. I appreciate Cathie Wood putting that word out there because now I can keep an eye on this. And now, if necessary, I and a few others can take actions on this and reach out to certain individuals. Trust me, we can reach out and let our voices be heard. Whether that makes an impact or not, who knows? But I'm like this. I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight. I'm going to let my voice be heard and the chips fall where they may. Right. But that is very concerning. So now not only I know, now you know that that's a possibility. Gary Gensler heading the U.S. Treasury. Wow. All right. Possibility of it is not a guarantee, right? So let's move on here. So now this article here is from forexlive.com, and it's from Moody's. Moody's on recession risk and Federal Reserve rate cuts next year. We will see. Moody's offered up views on the Federal Reserve and recession risk on Wednesday in a report and also in a TV interview with Mark Zandi, chief economist at the rating agency. That television, man. My word. If they say something enough times on television and radio, it could be not true. People could experience the exact opposite of it. But if they say it enough times, people will begin to believe it. First bullet point, the CPI data confirms that rate hikes are over. All right. Next bullet point, I don't think the bar is high for them to actually cut rates. OK, there you go. Next bullet point, they need to be absolutely sure that inflation is going to get back to their target before they do that. Next bullet point, the rate cuts probably not until mid next year. After that, I think they cut rates slowly. Next bullet point, the economy is going to be able to avoid a recession. It hasn't avoided a recession. We had a technical recession long ago. We are now in a light version of a depression. And it's getting worse and worse every day. That's a fact. Ask the people on the ground. Simple as that. Don't go by your numbers. Your numbers are highly manipulated and they negate so many things. Look at the people on the ground. Ask them, talk to them. They're going to tell you. Job growth is slowing. Yeah, that's an understatement. Wage growth is moderating. Wage growth has slowed a long time ago and is now going down. As I said before earlier in the video, now the people, when they want to leave these terrible, terrible jobs that, no one ever elaborates on what jobs are out there. They're just like, there's jobs out there, a lot of jobs. They're terrible. They're horrible jobs and people don't like them. So then they leave believing that they're not believing in their right to find something better, only to now be bombarded with, hey, we're going to pay you less now, as a new hire. So it's very hard for people to leave that other position that was terrible. So wage growth is going down because when people do choose to leave their horrible job, then they're getting paid less at a lot of these different places, right? So wage growth is going down, decreasing. It says, quote, we put the odds of a recession beginning in 2024 at 25%, behind the still elevated recession. So all that's left is massive deceleration, which is going to be a problem of its own, because then how do they solve massive decelerization? They'd have to turn the money printer back on. And then what do you have? Repeat cycle. They don't have a true solution to these things, right? They're putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound and pulling the Band-Aid off. And then when it starts bleeding again, because it didn't have enough time to heal, they throw another Band-Aid back on. It says recession probabilities are the considerable number of downside risks evident in our U.S. risk matrix. So now let's see what we have here. So then we have another article writer. This is from bitcoinnews.bitcoin.com. And this one says, it says, Adrian Day warns of inevitable U.S. recession. Describes it as a freight train heading towards the U.S. Really, a freight train, a recession? You know what a freight train is? A freight train is a depression, not a recession. But we're going to stop right there, folks. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.